the small-town dream that shocked everyone. Good evening, folks. If you've ever thought your high school PE teacher was the biggest obstacle between you and greatness, wait till you hear what happened in Louisiana. This is the story of John Foster, the small-town kid who went from dodgeball drills to dodging national headlines on American Idol. Born and raised in Addis, Louisiana, Foster wasn't your typical small fish, big pond contestant. Nope. This guy was the valedictorian who could out-sing, out-study, and probably outrun half his class. His classmates remember him as the kid who could hit high notes and high grades in the same breath. But what started as an innocent school rivalry, a PE teacher who pushed him harder than anyone, turned into one of the most talked-about underdog stories Idol has seen in years. Fans called it the PE teacher versus the star saga, and the memes wrote themselves. Imagine Rocky Balboa, but with vocal cords instead of boxing gloves. By the time Foster's story hit television, the narrative was irresistible. A teacher's tough love, a student's determination, and a dream big enough to echo from a Louisiana gym to the American Idol stage. But here's the twist. Behind the bright lights and big applause, something unexpected happened. The dream that was supposed to lift him up brought more pressure than anyone predicted, and that's where this story takes a turn. The genius from Addis. Now, before John Foster ever faced the Idol judges, he was already something of a hometown legend. Imagine the kind of kid who could ace calculus, win the school talent show, and still help carry the PE mats after class. That was John, the student teachers secretly compared their own kids to. Born with both brains and the baritone, he somehow balanced academics and music like he had a twin doing homework for him. Teachers in Addis still joke that his report cards looked photoshopped. A perfect GPA, ACT score through the roof, and an attitude so polite it made everyone else look like troublemakers. But what really got people talking wasn't just his grades, it was that voice. One English teacher said she first heard him humming during a test and nearly dropped her coffee, thinking the school's intercom had glitched into Heaven's playlist. He didn't just sing, he poured soul into every note, even when it was just a Shakespeare sonnet turned into a melody. His classmates say he'd help with group projects by turning PowerPoint presentations into musical numbers. Talk about setting the bar high. Yet behind all that talent, John carried a quiet fear that people only saw him as the smart kid, not the artist he truly wanted to be. And that's where his story gets interesting, because the one person who challenged him to prove he was more than grades wasn't another singer or mentor. It was his no-nonsense PE teacher, whistle and all, ready to push him in a push or pressure. Here's where the story takes its first surprising twist, the legendary PE teacher everyone talks about. Now, every student has that one teacher who goes a little overboard with the motivational speeches, right? The one who thinks running laps built character and emotional resilience. For John Foster, that person was his PE teacher, Coach Daniels, a man whose motto might as well have been, "Pain is just weakness leaving your playlist." According to classmates, Coach Daniels wasn't exactly a villain. He just believed John was too good to settle for the easy path. While most teachers praised John's voice, Coach Daniels told him, "Talent's nothing without fight." That line would stick with John for years. Rumor has it that John once skipped gym to rehearse for a school concert, and Coach Daniels responded by making him run extra laps while singing. Talk about cardio and karaoke in one session. But here's the thing, what started as tough love slowly turned into a defining rivalry, the kind that shaped John's determination. Some say the coach doubted he'd ever make it big. Others say he was his secret biggest fan. Either way, the contrast between whistleblowing discipline and musical ambition made John's journey feel like a movie script waiting to happen. And when John finally took his shot at American Idol, fans couldn't help but wonder, was this the moment he'd finally prove Coach Daniels wrong? Or would the lessons from that gym floor be the secret weapon that carried him all the way to Hollywood? When the classroom became a stage. It all started one random Tuesday, the kind of day when nobody expects anything extraordinary, except maybe a surprise pop quiz. John Foster was sitting in class, quietly scribbling notes when a teacher asked him to perform for a school assembly. The plan was simple: sing a little, inspire the students, and go back to normal life. But when John opened his mouth to sing, the entire gym went silent. Even Coach Daniels, the man who treated applause like a participation trophy, reportedly froze mid-whistle. "I thought the speakers broke," one student joked later. "Then I realized that was his voice." What began as a casual school performance turned into a viral moment. A few students recorded it, posted it online, and suddenly everyone was talking about the kid from Addis who sounded like he'd swallowed an angel. Local news picked it up. Teachers were bragging like proud uncles, and within weeks, John was performing at charity events, football halftimes, and even city fairs. The guy couldn't buy a burger without someone asking for a selfie. It was the start of something big, that feeling when destiny quietly clears its throat and says, "Hey, it's your turn." And yet, with every new show, that voice in his head, or maybe it was Coach Daniels' voice, kept reminding him, real talent has to survive the pressure. That's when John made a decision that would change everything: to take his voice from the small-town gymnasium to the biggest stage in America. And the next stop? American Idol. One plane ticket, one dream. When John Foster decided to audition for American Idol, it wasn't some glamorous pre-planned move, it was more like a leap of faith with a carry-on bag and a lot of nerves. He scraped together travel money from friends, family, and what locals jokingly called the Foster fan club jar at the local coffee shop. His parents were supportive but realistic, telling him, "You've got the voice, but make sure you bring home your dignity if nothing else." The night before his flight, he practiced in his room until the neighbors reportedly thought the church choir had started rehearsing early. When he finally stood before the Idol judges, something magical happened. He didn't come in with flashy outfits or sob stories, just a simple smile and a voice that made the whole room feel like time had stopped. One of the judges even joked, "You sound like if Ed Sheeran and Luke Bryan had a polite son." The audition clip exploded online, and suddenly John wasn't just the pride of Addis, he was a rising national sensation. But fame is a strange thing. For every fan cheering him on, there were 10 critics asking if a teacher's pet from Louisiana could handle the real heat of the competition. The pressure was on, but John took it with grace and humor, even telling a reporter, "If I can survive Coach Daniels' warm-ups, I can survive anything." Little did he know, that joke would soon be tested, because what came next wasn't just a competition, it was an emotional roller coaster that would change how America saw him forever. Louisiana's pride takes the stage. Once John Foster officially stepped onto the American Idol stage, he wasn't just representing himself, he was representing every small-town dreamer who ever sang into a hairbrush. The moment his first live performance aired, Addis practically shut down. Restaurants played Idol on every TV, families hosted Foster Fridays, and even Coach Daniels reportedly watched with his arms crossed, pretending he wasn't proud. Each week, John's voice seemed to carry a little more weight, blending Southern soul with modern charm. Judges praised his tone, fans fell in love with his humility, and social media turned him into a meme machine. One fan wrote, "He's like your favorite substitute teacher, too good to be real but too humble to brag." But behind the charm was real strategy. John picked songs that told his story, about faith, grit, and proving the world wrong. By the time he reached the top 5, Louisiana started treating him like royalty. The mayor declared a John Foster Day, the local school held viewing parties, and even his old PE teacher gave an interview saying, "He's doing all right, though I still think he skips leg day." That quote went viral faster than any performance recap. But as the finals approached, John faced a new kind of pressure, the kind that no training, no pep talk, not even a whistle could prepare him for. Because sometimes, when everyone expects you to win, the weight of that love can feel heavier than any loss. And what happened next would test not just his voice, but his heart. From Jim Whistle to Hollywood Calls. As John climbed higher in American Idol, the story of his old PE teacher, Coach Daniels, suddenly became part of the show's mythology. The producers loved it. Small-town coach, tough love, underdog student turned national star. It was the kind of subplot that made great TV. And before long, Idol ran a segment titled From Jim Whistle to Hollywood Calls. Coach Daniels, who once barked at John for singing instead of stretching, found himself giving interviews in front of national cameras. "I always told him to keep his chin up," he said proudly, adding with a grin, mostly because he was about to faint during push-ups. That quip became an instant meme. #ChinUpJohn trended for a week. Fans started tagging the coach in comments, calling him the man who accidentally created a star. Even John joined the fun, posting a photo of himself holding a whistle on Instagram with the caption, "Coach, I finally hit all my laps." The internet loved the wholesome banter, but underneath the laughter, there was something deeper. John admitted in an interview that he'd carried those gym lessons into Hollywood. "When I get nervous, I still hear him saying, 'Don't stop halfway, Foster.'" It wasn't rivalry anymore. It was gratitude disguised as humor. The coach who once made him doubt himself had become a symbol of his persistence. But as the finals drew near and John faced his biggest performance yet, not even Coach Daniels' pep talks could brace him for the twist waiting on that grand stage. Because what came next wasn't triumph, it was heartbreak. So close, yet so heartbreaking. The night of the American Idol finale felt like something out of a movie. Bright lights, nervous smiles, and enough glitter to power Mardi Gras for a week. John Foster stood center stage, calm but clearly feeling the weight of his small town watching. Fans from Louisiana filled the audience waving handmade signs like "Addis believes" and "Our teacher star." As Ryan Seacrest stretched the suspense longer than a Netflix cliffhanger, everyone held their breath. And then, in that split second when John's name wasn't called as the winner, the cheers turned into a strange mix of applause and heartbreak. But here's the beautiful part. John didn't sulk, he smiled. He hugged his rival, waved to the crowd, and whispered, "We did it, coach." The moment went viral, with fans calling it the most graceful loss in Idol history. Even the judges got teary-eyed. Lionel Richie said, "That's how you lose like a legend." Back home, no one cared about rankings. Addis celebrated like he'd brought home the crown anyway. People flooded the streets with posters, and Coach Daniels led the parade in his old gym whistle, declaring he might have lost the show, but he won the world. It was pure cinematic closure. Except, this wasn't really the end. Because when the cameras shut off and the confetti settled, John was about to face his toughest test yet, life after Idol, without the stage lights, where the real heartbreak quietly begins. The Idol hangover. When the applause fades and the lights dim, that's when the real story begins. And for John Foster, the post-Idol chapter was a crash course in reality. One day he was trending nationwide. The next he was back in Louisiana, waiting in line at his favorite coffee shop like nothing had happened. Fame, as it turns out, doesn't come with a user manual or even a receipt you can return when it gets confusing. John joked in an interview, "One day I was signing autographs, the next I was signing for my Amazon delivery." But beneath the humor, there was truth. The transition from global spotlight to everyday life hit hard. Record labels called, managers made promises, and everyone seemed to have an opinion on what kind of artist he should be. Yet the same calm determination that carried him through Coach Daniels' sprints kept him grounded. Instead of chasing fame, he started writing, turning heartbreak, hope, and hometown nostalgia into songs that sounded like diary entries set to melody. Fans online noticed the honesty in his lyrics and started calling him the teacher's poet. Meanwhile, his community never stopped cheering. Addis even hosted a Foster Fest featuring local artists and a karaoke contest where Coach Daniels attempted to sing one of John's songs. Let's just say it was motivational, not musical. Through all of it, John learned that losing a TV show doesn't mean losing your dream. It just means you get to write the next chapter your own way. And as fate would have it, that next chapter was about to surprise everyone once again. from a PE class to national TV. And that brings us to the heart of it all, how one small-town student with a big voice turned gym class grit into nationwide inspiration. John Foster's story isn't just about music or fame, it's about how ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they refuse to quit. From being pushed to his limits by a whistle-wielding PE teacher to standing under Hollywood lights, John never lost that mix of humility and humor that made him unforgettable. Reporters still ask him if he ever thanks Coach Daniels for being so tough. John laughs and says, "Every time I do push-ups, I call it our duet." That kind of grounded attitude is exactly why people connect with him. He's proof that success doesn't need an ego, just effort. These days, John performs at schools, charity events, and local festivals, often giving the same pep talks his coach once gave him. The difference?
He replaces laps with lyrics. He's using his platform not to chase stardom, but to remind others that the road from a gym floor to a national stage is built on persistence, not perfection. In the end, his story feels less like a competition and more like a life lesson wrapped in melody, one that says you don't have to win the show to win the crowd. And as the sun sets over Addis, you can still hear echoes of his journey in every note, every laugh, and every small-town dream that dares to believe. This is Your Channel Name, and that was the story of John Foster, the PE student who sang his way into America's heart. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check our playlist for more incredible stories from behind the spotlight.